Hello and welcome to Let's Play Awakening of the Rebellion Part 12. I'm that one bullet, and we finished last time in Part 11. I know it's been a long time, but we finished last time on an assault on Dantooine. The pirate forces assaulted Dantooine with a bunch of ships, and I only had a level 2 space station, and I'm trying to defend as best as I can from their impending onslaught. So we'll see what comes of this. Um, so I've been gone for a while. I just got into finals week, and now I finally finished. And if you can hear from my voice, also I got pretty sick during finals week, so it's been quite a pain. Kind of unfortunate timing. I don't even remember how I or what I did on my finals, and so that should be interesting when my grades come in, because I was completely out of it, and I was doing like group projects and stuff until like 3 a.m. trying to finish, last minute deadlines, and it was pretty terrible. Um, and so I'm still kind of under the weather, but finals are done, the quarter's over or semester's over, and um, I'm done with all my works. So now I have a little bit of time off in between before I have to start. I'm actually trying to do an internship at this time, so I have this little like 1 week break for myself. So I got back into Let's Plays, but I'm still a little bit under the weather, so bear with me. But I wanted to do this because this footage has been sitting around since before finals week, and it's really outdated, but it's still very important, so you can still watch it. The relevance is it's still relevant to the rest of what happens, because this battle kind of decides what happens up in the top sector region of the galactic map. And here you can see I actually already took out, while I was talking, a Corellian destroyer, and here I'm onto the pesky Geonosian frigate that's just destroying my fighters with its cannons as the X-wings come in too close, and then the cannons are point blank range. And in the meanwhile, there's fucking IPV craft. Okay, you see that little the IPV craft. You guys know what IPV crafts are. If you've played this game, you know what an IPV craft is. In the regular game, it sucks. In this game, oh, it's the most annoying anti-fighter thing in the world. It's so easy to take out, but at the same time, you don't have time to switch targets to the IPV. So IPV has, they upgraded it in the mod with like dual laser cannons that take out fighters in one hit, I think, or two maybe. And they're very accurate. You can see how accurate they are. Actually, I think it takes 2 hits for one fighter, but with its accuracy, it takes out fighters pretty fast. So you can see how much ships they're bringing in, and they're low, their ships are kind of crappy, but at the same time, if you mass anything in an RTS, you usually win. So no matter how crappy your ships are, I mean, I have only so many fighters, so there's not much I can do. You saw that they tried to bring in a pirate hero, and I don't think I've explained how pirate heroes work. The mercenary captains is what I'm talking about. So the way mercenary captains work in this game is, if you play the Black Sun in this mod, you can hire mercenaries in these allotted times from any space station. It doesn't matter what structures you have or whatever. So you can just buy them in a certain pre-allotted time, and they cost a little bit less than regular ships, but at the same time you have to pay monthly fees. So the strategy behind it is to have a fleet. The strategy I used to use, at least, maybe it's not that good of a strategy, but I used to have a base fleet. For example, something like what's happening right now, like they have a bunch of Munificents and Corellian destroyer. That's a Corellian destroyer in the background, in case you don't know. you buy up these ships, these support ships, and then because the fact that the pirate mercenary forces come with capital ships usually, or at least I think the lowest it comes in is the Corellian destroyer. So when right before you launch an assault, you buy up like a Venator and a couple Corellian pirate frigates, pirate hero frigates, and what you end up doing is, because it has a monthly fee, you want to get rid of those ships as fast as possible, because you don't want to pay that monthly fee and ruin your galactic credit reserve. So you use them as cannon fodder, and you just send them, and they cost as much as a ship, but you don't care about losing them because there's a monthly fee associated with those ships. Even though they're all right and they give you bonuses, it's better to send the pirate stuff first, because you can remake, like, you can make them, like, the time to make them will come back again. And since making a Venator for pirates is harder than recruiting mercenary Venator, because you need the infrastructure to make a Venator when you're Black Sun, and you don't get the bonuses from the pirate hero, so you might as well not make any real Venators and just make pirate Venators, like the pirate hero Venators, and then you could just send them forward in front of all the ships you actually own, to get rid of to make sure they die, or maybe they don't die, to send them forward. That way you get rid of the monthly fee if they die, but you can always easily remake the Venators, because it would be harder to remake a Venator, and it takes much longer time to remake a Venator if you actually bought a Venator in the Black Sun versus if you hired a mercenary. So that's how that strategy is used. And so our space station also got taken out, and right now I'm just using the remaining ships I have to try and take out as many of their ships, in order to so I could send a fleet later on and mop up their forces, which won't be as powerful. So I'm trying to maximize my profits from my losses. I don't know a better way to say that. I'm just trying to kill as many ships as possible, is basically what I'm trying to say, so that they don't get away scotch-free from assaulting the space station. Munificents are really cool. Well, okay, Munificents look cool, but they suck in the mod. They cost a lot, and you can't get a pirate mercenary for Munificents, so they're just, you can only buy them. They cost, I think, 7,000 or so credits, and you can see they don't spawn any fighters. They're kind of defenseless versus enemy fighters. They really are a support ship, and they do come with ion cannons though. Ion cannons are important in ships. If you do not have a fleet with ion cannons anywhere, it's going to take a toll on your fleet, because ion cannons reduce firepower. If something's being constantly ion cannon barraged, their firepower goes down. And so, because of that, your ships take less fire and can shoot back faster. Plus, their shields go down faster if you shoot them with ion cannons. So it's beneficial to have as many ships with ion cannons as possible in the beginning to disable something like an Imperial Star Destroyer, so that it won't fire as much. Which is why Y-Wings are so beneficial. Which at the same time means that Munificent frigates, if they're kept alive and if they're supported properly with other ships, can be very beneficial, because they can disable enemy ships from firing faster. So, I don't know. And Munificents are pretty cool. They have a rotating main gun under the bow of the ship, so that's a nice touch that the mod also gave. And you can see some ships get the fuzzing effect from being ion cannoned, and that lets you know that the ion cannon is in effect. So while the buzzing happens, or like the static flickering or whatever that you see, the ship can't fire as it would if it wasn't getting the ion cannon. And its mobility is also reduced. I forgot to mention that. Its mobility is also reduced, meaning it can't strafe or turn as well or go as fast. So that's a hindrance. But Corellian destroyers are also cool because you could see that they have two rotating turrets, or maybe I don't know if it's a little bit hard to see, but they have two rotating turrets on top that aren't actual hard points. So those two turrets survive all the way up until the ship is destroyed. So that also provides additional, like, it's a really good ship because those two cannons, you know, will never get disabled, even if all that's left are engines and shield generators. So it's a good ship to kind of take the brunt of the damage and then to retreat, because you always have the cannons. But right now we were defeated, so now they have access to Dantooine. But I took out as many ships as possible. So now that the battle's over, we come back to the galactic map, and I'm checking out like what type of forces I'm left with. So it's not looking pretty good. And right there, that's how much stuff was left at Dantooine. So I don't think I can take it with only 3 ships and 1 hero. So unfortunately, Dantooine's gonna have to wait, and it might bring me to my downfall just a little later. And here I'm checking out, like, we remember we captured Bothawui, so we're in the core worlds, and I'm building up a little bit more infantry from Kamino because it's cheaper. So you might as well buy something if it's cheaper. Here we get a mission from Mon Mothma to that Katarn, Kal Katarn is going to be taken out, and we're going to see what happens because of that. And I did send back Admiral Akbar to Shola to try and take, because there was a fleet over Shola, I believe, and then as soon as they saw that he was coming in, they just retreated. And here we get a space battle. I'm trying to get Mon Mothma. If you remember, I'm trying to get Mon Mothma to not from Hoth to Mon Calamari, because that was a mission that we received. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe we didn't receive it yet, but I'm just preemptively doing it. So here you can see it's the same force that we used in previous battles. But they also have a Venator on their side, so I'm gonna have to probably try and section off the Venator away from the space station so that I don't get hit at the same time. But I'm also going to fast forward this approach towards the space station right now. And we're back from our awesome post-edited hyperspace jump. And so here I'm trying to get the Venator away from the space station, because a Venator plus a space station will easily annihilate my forces. I'm also sending my fighters before my regular ships to try and scout, and you can see how much fighters they have, because of course, if you remember, the Venator is allows for a lot of fighters to spawn from it. So here you see a crazy fighter battle of ships of all kind, while my Y-Wings are going in for the ion cannon disable, as I talked earlier, to disable firing of the ship. And then I also use, I forget what his name is, his special ability to reduce damage done of their lasers to my ships. So I used that ability as well on the fighters when they were all grouped up, so it ended up being used on all of them. And you can see I take out the engines of the Venator as fast as possible. I don't even try and go for the space station yet, even though the space station is kind of firing on a couple of my ships. But it's okay because shields come back. And so I try and move my ships as close as possible to the Venator so that all their guns fire, because certain guns have range limitations on how far certain guns fire. So I want all guns firing on this Venator as quickly as possible to take it out, because it's a big deal. You can see their second wave of fighter comes in, and I swiftly take it out. My bulk cruiser over there on top of the screen is taking some hits from the space station as I'm trying to get it in closer, because I don't want to engage the space station at this time. And you can see the Munificent, if not properly supported, of course, doesn't do much. It just ion cannons a bulk cruiser. Bulk cruiser's shields went down, so it didn't really do much as like in terms of affecting my assault on the Venator. And you can see since the shields are down, I engaged firepower on the bulk cruiser to try and fire as much as possible, since increasing firepower turns down shield strength. So since there's no shields, you might as well divert all power to firepower. And the space station is still hitting the bulk cruiser. I'm trying to pull it away. It has no engines, so it's taking a while. You can see the hard points are very quickly declining. The Venator gets taken out. The Munificent's being taken out as my ships advance towards the space station. There you can see a transport ships that I send my fighters on, try and kill some ground units in space. Much easier to do that than to engage them on ground. And you can see my bulk cruiser is for some reason still advancing towards the space station, even though I told it not to. My other ships are probably blocking its escape, and unfortunately that barrage, 2%, 3%, not good enough. Doesn't matter. Second barrage gets it. Bulk cruiser down. We lost the bulk cruiser. Fighters are still coming in. I'm trying to take them out with whatever I have. Mon Mothma's dreadnought is leading the assault on the space station, but the space station is probably in very poor shape right now because space station has no defense. So my ships outnumber the space station's firepower. So this should be an easy destroy over Onderon. You can see I also disable the effect of their lasers with the special ability. I put all firepower on, and I just try and destroy it as fast as possible. One support ship, a Crusader, is there trying to defend the space station with no effect at all as it gets blown up. And some cool camera work showing off how awesome these ships are. It's really interesting to see how the correct amount of ships, or the correct type of ships, outnumber just having like a capital ship. Doesn't mean jack unless you correctly pair it up with some other type of ships, because you could see that even though I have no capital ships and I just have very low class frigates, I still outnumber them and destroy them because I have guns all over the place. I have a couple of ion cannons from Garmbel Iblis's modified dreadnoughts, and along with the Marauder frigate, and so I take down the space station. Very easy battle. We unfortunately lost the bulk cruiser, but bulk cruisers are crap, so it doesn't really matter. But at least something took the something unimportant took the firepower. We also lost a couple of Y-wings and some Z95s, but Z95s suck, so we don't care. So now we have space dominance over Onderon. Aluyan gets corrupted, so I sent Lando Calrissian, who is able to remove corruption. And he removes corruption. So now I'm also readying a ground assault force, trying to get it to Onderon. Maybe I can take Onderon, and then be able, might as well capitalize on no space being there and assault it. But here we get invaded in Dantooine. I wasn't quick enough to bring a fleet up to repel Dantooine. I wasn't paying attention because I was down in the bottom part of the galactic map. So now we get invaded in Dantooine. But at least you'll get to see some nice camera work. The camera addition to ground battles. You can see I've freed the locks on it. You can zoom in all the way. You can pan all the way. It's also zoomed out as well to give you a nice tactical overview of the map. And that's all the defense forces I have. 2 infantry squads, 2 tanks, and some civilians. Versus, I forget, probably an outnumbering force, I assume. I stationed them in bunkers, but you can see civilians are crap, so they don't really do much. I'm just trying to delay the inevitable. So I send tank forces to try and repel the initial invasion, but you can see that the bunkers are already getting destroyed. And then they bring out the destroyer droids, which also have ion cannons. A lot of ion cannon talk today. If there's one thing you've learned from this episode, it's ion cannon, and more ion cannons. So I'm actually just going to retreat because there's no point trying to save civilians because they're just going to get destroyed. So I'm trying to move back to the turrets that you saw earlier. Trying to set up some turrets. Maybe the turrets might help me. You can see they're bringing forward destroyer droids and tanks and pirate soldiers and all sorts of crap. Destroyer droids. This is the benefit of an unlocked camera in ground forces. You get to see the cool action. The ground battles were usually not as fun. A lot of people used to say this, I remember, that no one wanted to play ground battles because they weren't as fun. They also took up a lot more resources from those old computers, because back when this game was released, computers were pretty old, so they were very taxing. Ground battles were more taxing, so everyone just wanted to play space battles in multiplayer. And yes, there was a multiplayer following for this game. I remember I joined my first clan ever, because of this game, because it had a pretty decent following, and the multiplayer matches were kind of fun. Sadly, I think the multiplayer servers have been shut down, so the only way you can play this online with another person is LAN. Because last time I tried signing on, it didn't let me. So you can see their bombing run destroys most of my tanks, and then I learned that they have fighter craft too. Why not? So you could see that I'm just getting outnumbered. My tank gets destroyed. I'm pulling back everything because at least that tank has anti-air rockets, so I might be able to take down one of these planes. Uri Ven is coming up, and unfortunately the tank gets destroyed. Uri Ven is a pretty annoying hero to fight because he has cloak, and he comes in, you shoot him, he cloaks, and he runs away. Just like the new Halo game multiplayer features. If you haven't played the new Halo games past Halo 3, those really irritate me. Armor abilities and active camo. Everyone can sit in the back of a map with active camo or whatever. So, used to be a Halo fan, not much anymore. Oh well. But anyways, this is Star Wars, this ain't Halo. What am I talking about here? You can see total annihilation. There's nothing I can do. Destroyer droids closing in, tank taking the fire. But there's not much I can do. My building gets destroyed. Fighters are mopping up everything. My last infantry dies, and we have been defeated. So the pirates now control Dantooine. Hooray. Another planet I have to take back. So now Bastion is going to be the primary defense in that sector. You can see that my ship finally got sent up, my Mon Calamari ship, and now it's time to take back some of Empire's strongholds, especially Felucia. We need to take back Felucia as fast as possible.
Tactical battle imminent.
And looks like there's going to be a battle, because I don't remember what happened in these recordings because it's been so long ago. So of course Felucia is a very important planet, as I discussed before. It's one of the main hub points where in order to take the rest of the planets around the hub, you have to first take the hub planet. So if someone controls that, like when the Empire took control of it, all my other planets were now open for attack, and those planets, you don't have enough money to put defenses on those planets. So those usually get taken really fast. If one of the core planets drops, the rest usually drop in a matter of time. So you need to take back the core planet as fast as possible to cut off supply lines to attack other planets. So you can see here is the first debut of one of the new Mon Calamari ships. It's an MC-80 wingless. And I know that there's 4 MC-80 variants, each specialize in different things. This one in particular has no fighters, that has no hangar for fighters to come out of, but it does what it makes up for is stronger shields and additional firepower. It also does come with ion cannons, as most Mon Calamari capital ships do. And we're destroying this pesky little hero with his escort carrier and his TIE fighters. Which actually, those TIE fighter heroes get taken out pretty quickly by regular X-Wings, so they're not much of a hero. But then again, that much X-Wings can take out any hero, so I guess doesn't matter. Uh-oh. What do we have here? 2 Victory Star Destroyers. Oh crap. We were not prepared for this. My bulk cruiser, of course, these damn bulk cruisers always get caught by tractor beams. But what is this? It looks like one of their victories, for some reason, is turning back, leaving one in victory completely exposed all by his own. What a terrible tactical choice for the Empire. You can see that their victory is trying to retreat. But his shield generators do get taken out by my fighters sooner or later. I think right about now. So now I recall my ships and go straight at this Victory Star Destroyer. You can see that one of the Dreadnoughts, of course, gets a little wounded here because the Dreadnought is a little bit weaker than the Victory. Here you can see how far you can actually zoom out from this camera, which is something this mod desperately needs because the maps are larger and you need to be able to see the overall tactical layout. So I modded the camera to pull back a little bit. You can see the Victory alone gets slaughtered by all of my ships. Once I took out the engines, its mobility was pretty terrible. So it kind of drifted away from the space station and away from the rest of the forces. And I'm guessing the Empire wants to keep near the space station. I also sent out one X-Wing away just so I can make sure that no surprise attacks are being had and that my ships have enough time to come in and destroy this Victory. Now, of course, I do. So the Victory Star Destroyer goes down, and now we're on to the second one. Because since they've separated, it's easier to take them out one by one. And my bulk cruiser gets, once again, these bulk cruisers, man, they have a mind of their own. They just keep going by themselves. And it gets targeted, and all these missiles start coming in. You see this epic starfighter battle with a second wave of TIE fighters versus my original wave of X-Wings. And now the rest of my fleet is pulling up to try and save this bulk cruiser as the Victory sees all these ships and starts retreating. So the bulk cruiser is damaged, but I'm pulling the bulk cruiser away from the rest of the main fleets. I usually do that because in order for a ship to completely be destroyed, you know, it has to actually be destroyed in battle. Wounded doesn't count, so if you leave a wounded ship in the back of a battlefield while the rest of the ships finish the battle, that ship won't be lost, it'll be repaired and good as new. So I exploit that quite a lot to save ships so I don't have to buy them over. And you can see that my main fleet is now catching up to the Victory Star Destroyer because it's being pounded with ion cannons. Once again, ion cannons. Can't recommend them enough. The main Mon Calamari ship has ion cannons, so you can see how much damage that broadside of that MC-80, how much firepower is really that ship really has. And you can see I'm not even targeting this Victory. I say 2 dreadnoughts to target it. The rest are going straight at the space station. You can see the bulk cruiser once again, low shields. What a terrible ship. But you might as well use it as cannon fodder in the beginning. There's no point of really selling it because there's nothing else that you can really use in its place that's good cannon fodder. So you might as well have a cannon fodder ship. It has a lot of hard points, so while the hard points are weak, you might as well use them. You can see here's a closer look at the MC-80. You can see how much guns it has on its side, and a frontal attack from an MC-80 wingless is not smart. So it's better to have the ship broadsided, so that meaning facing sideways towards the enemy. You can see how much guns are on the side and how much can fire. So what the implications on this is that the MC-80 is more powerful as a defensive tool rather than offensive, because if you want offensive capabilities, you want something that can shoot from the front, the sides, the rear. But if you have just broadside then it's better to just set an MC-80 as a defense ship and just set it sideways and let the ships come in and fire barrage at it. So the space station goes down. A lot of my fighters got destroyed, unfortunately. I didn't want that to happen, but we were versing larger odds versus we were versing pretty important or high-class ships, so the amount of losses we sustained is actually very minimal compared to what could have happened. And those two extra, the Dreadnought and the Bulk Cruiser, were saved because I pulled them back, so all I lost was a lot of fighters, as you can see, which I'm going to have to rebuy. So you can see they retreat back to Salukami, but I do control Felucia in space. Now I just need a ground force. But that about wraps it up for part 12. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.